All right, family. We live again with the general. You already know what time it is, man. We got some fire today. We're gonna be talking about the monsoons, the sacred highway between ancient Africa and India. It's necessary we understand that this was how we traveled around the world. We didn't walk. We didn't walk nowhere. We was on ships from the very beginning. When you go into the Nile Valley, you can look up even in the walls and you can look on the ceiling and you can see the deities are on ships. You see, even selling across the celestial Nile. That just show you how long we have been connected to seafaring and ocean research, and navigation and exploration, from very ancient times. And so the monsoons is necessary because this show you how civilization advanced out of Africa, going east first and foremost, going east first and foremost. And so that was, first we we built great civilizations all across Africa, and then we began to take to the seas, where we would go across the Red Sea, and then we would go into what today they call the Arabian Sea, which is on the Horn of Africa, but there is no Arabian Sea. That's the Cushite Sea. You see, that's the Oxamite Sea, but it's not no because the Arab wasn't even on no ship. They was damn camel herders. They wasn't on no damn ship. How you gonna name a damn a sea after a landlocked Arab? Okay, so even when you read Abraham, he was with flock. He wasn't on no ship. When you read about Muhammad, he wasn't on no ship. So we have to understand this is before all of that. If you stay stuck in there, you ain't gonna never. You got to go before that. We are ancient. We are far more ancient than what we want to believe. You see, and so when we talk about the monsoons, let me get this up here. Let's get this up here. Matter of fact, let me take that out of there because I don't want nothing to block. I don't want nothing to block the. Thank you, family, for your donation. I'm gonna get you up there in a second. Become a okay. Let me get that out of there. I want to see if I can move myself up just a little bit. Well, I'll come on out. Okay, so what you're looking at right here is the monsoon. Now, the monsoons, I believe, start in July, blowing towards the east, blowing towards India, China, Japan. You see, blowing towards Australia, blowing towards the South Pacific. And so, at that time, this was the best time for our people, especially if they had large exports, all type of commodities, things that they was trading. They could have animals, and that's even more so. If you got animals, and you're gonna need that extra wind, and so that wind would be strong in them periods. It would be strong in them periods, and it's gonna give you that extra. It's gonna give you that extra acceleration that you're gonna need. So they would get, but see, and so when you look at, that the monsoon gonna bring you straight to Southern Arabia, it's gonna bring you straight into India, even before you go up into Samaria. You see, even before you go up into Samaria, you would come to the Indus, you would come to the western coast of India. Okay, and this is clear because you see, that there is a more advanced level. Because when you talk about Egypt, you talk about Aksum, Ethiopia, you dealing with megalithic stone. Okay, you dealing with megalithic stone structures. And so when you look at Sumeria, Mesopotamia, and it is one of our jewels. It is. But India was more advanced than Sumeria, because of the fact of they dealt with stone. And this is what we talking about when we start talking about the brotherhood of masonry. That's the highest level of architecture that we have reached on this planet. That's the highest level. That shit you see downtown, that shit gonna rust and it's gonna break and it's gonna bend. And in a goddamn in 500, it won't even make it 1,000. It won't even make it 100 years, 200 years before they had to knock that motherfucker down and build another one. But that damn pyramid gonna be in the desert another 5,000 years. Okay, so when you looking at our people, in the advancement of architecture, it is megalithic stone. So the one fact of why India is a greater sun in the east than Samaria is because of the fact that they were carving like the Egyptians and the Kushite in stone, okay, on a level that no other civilization. So after Egypt, after Kush, Ethiopia, and I'm gonna say in Aksum, I'm gonna say those three, even though those are two districts of Kush. You got Aksum, and then you got Napata, Merowe. You see, you got those ancient, and then you got Egypt. You see, and so outside of the Nile Valley, the Naga Kushites were the most advanced in stone structures. You see, and that's clear. And so, and then going into Cambodia, Angkor Wat, very, mind blowing. Which is an extension of that. Must give credit to Angkor Wat, one of the greatest temples on the planet Earth. Yeah, and then you got what's that? Burma? And you got Bagan, that area with 2,000 pyramid temples. Another great wonder of the world. You see, so those areas were in earliest time. When you look at the woolly head Buddha, those were the people that was over there. We don't have to guess because we can see the damn Buddhas. And then what's so crazy is that you cannot find an ancient Buddha that don't have woolly hair. That's a fact. You cannot find an ancient Buddha without woolly hair. So when you looking at that's the primary, that's divinity. When you look at the deity, you looking at the highest level as far as an image of divinity. And at that time, the woolly hair was the divine hair. That was it. And matter of fact, many European writers wrote about the fact that all of the ancient Buddhas, all of the ancient Christ figures had woolly hair. There was no straight head Christ figures until Jesus. And then the Buddha, and you got the bald, and that ain't even Buddha. That's one of his what they call him. He was like a prophet, but that wasn't even Buddha. A lot of people think he Buddha, the bald fat one. That ain't even Buddha. You see? And so you didn't start getting straight head Buddhas until they, just like with the Christ figure, they wanted to be divine. And so they began to change the image of the deity. But see, we have to understand these monsoons. This is how we got into these civilizations. We did not walk. We got to quit acting like we European people. We was on ships at a very early day. If they, matter of fact, they found the earliest ships, the boats down at Abydos. And that's 3,000 BC. But obviously they got pictures of boats in the Nile Valley that go back damn near 10,000 BC. So I mean, I don't know of no time where we wasn't on ships. You see, and so we never walked. That's why when you look at the majority of all ancient civilizations, they they begin in the south, near water. Not because they were somebody, because they sailed in. They didn't walk, they sailed in. Look at Crete, the earliest fucking civilization in Europe, on the island. How the fuck did they get over there? On a ship. The earliest civilization of Mesopotamia, Sumeria, where is it at? Right off the Persian Gulf. Where's the earliest civilization? The Indus Valley, where's that at? Right off the Arabian Sea. Right off, all of them connected right to the monsoons. When you go into even in the South Pacific, Angkor Wat, where is that? Right off the water. They were selling in. You see? So this is key of the difference about our people circumnavigated the globe. We knew it. We had already went all the way around, and they used them trade winds to go around, so they knew every fucking continent that's on this planet. They knew thousands of years ago. Okay, but though Asia clearly and Europe was closer to Africa, so it was much easier to get to them areas. But you know, they would get to the what they call the Americas later, but they knew of the Americas long time ago, and eventually they got enough knowledge up in there to build megalithic goddamn structures over there. But it was much later. It was much later, but we did get enough of our trained masons and peoples of higher learning to establish civilization even in the Americas. So that show you right there. And so, you know, people keep talking about that. They keep saying something about the maps, that people tricked us, that we was from over here, because they switched the maps. Our people didn't need no damn maps, fool. They was looking at the fucking stars. These are some dumbass niggas. Like, we looking at a damn map. Do you think that's how they got? Man, our people knew where the fuck every aspect of this planet was based off astrology and astronomy. They had mapped out this planet based on the stars. They didn't need no goddamn, they knew which way they was going. Shit, they had, it ain't like they did it once or twice. Do you know how long they been going back and forth? See, this is what niggas is fools talking about a map. Our people wasn't looking at no goddamn maps like that. They was looking at the damn stars. That would get you to where you was going. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, no land. It ain't like that shit. I mean, you got to have longitude and latitude. Who invented longitude? You can't just have no map. You got to have longitude and latitude. And the only way you can have longitude and latitude, you're going to have to get out there and map it. The only way you could create a map is you got to take the chances of circumnavigating the globe. That's the only way you're going to create a real map. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're going to have to take some chances to get your ass out there and circumnavigate the globe. And what they did, they had markers based off of, they had markers. And they would leave something like, you know, a monument. They start leaving monuments, you know, and shit, markers that they were, yeah. But so they wasn't to no map like that. You know what I'm saying? And they knew that the star, what stars they would, you know, calculate the star. And after a while, they would know how, you know, just like you, if you driving across the United States, some people been going to certain places where they don't even need a map no fucking more. They can go, they know exactly what fucking highway to get on. They know all of that. They don't need fucking maps. So, you know, people is just so ridiculous talking about they switched the maps on us. Man, get the fuck out of here, man. Y'all sound so ridiculous. They switched the map. They switch. Well, how the fuck is somebody that just got a map gonna switch the map? Fuck, the European just got a map, goddamn it, during the time of the Moors. Shit. And they didn't need no damn maps. Them motherfuckers was coming across these damn waters without a map. They was looking at the stars. They had other markers beside the map. But anyway, family, I want y'all to do some research. Make sure y'all get over there to Patreon. Click that link at the top of the chat. We're gonna be getting. It's early, but we about to get over there, and we're gonna put some fire down for the family. We're gonna bring some slides out. But check out these sacred monsoons. Get into your navigation. And understand, man, that it's about that water. It's about them stars. It's about that water. And you want to become in unison, in cohesiveness, in knowing the trade winds and what constellations and stars align with those trade winds. And once you know that, man, you can go anywhere you want to go. I'll see y'all in a minute, family. Black Power.